I know some of you guys don't like these multiple choice questions, but there will be a question similar to this on your test. So hopefully you kind of think through this a little bit. So in a survey, it was found 75% of LB students plan to attend college. So you know that is what happened in the survey. The margin of error is plus or minus 5%. What does the plus or minus 5% mean? Well, hopefully you guys realize that when we would do the confidence interval, we would take 5% plus or minus off the 75. So that'd be 70 to 80. That's what we think the true proportion of all LB students would be. We know exactly what happened in the survey, but we're trying to predict what all students would be. So hopefully you guys can tell if A is wrong, B is wrong, and so you're probably all choosing between C and D. But remember, we're trying to decide what does the margin of error, the plus or minus 5%, actually stand for. The correct answer is D. The difference between the sample, so we know the sample 75, and the true proportion is most likely less than or equal to that 5%. So this is what we think would happen with the... All right, in a sample of 50 LB boys, it was found 38 of them plan to attend college. Construct a 95% confidence interval to estimate the true percentage of LB boys who plan to attend college. So that definitely sounds like a proportion. Remember, if it's from a sample, you just put a little hat. So 38 out of 50, which is 0.76 if you'd rather use that. So we definitely have a proportion. We have one proportion. So you can just go to one proportion Z on your calculator, or you can use the formula. So remember, stat, test, and A, one proportion Z. So all we need is X and N, 38 out of 50. Confidence level, 95. Okay, and I'm just going to round this to like whole percentages. So 64% to 88%. So we think we're 95% confident that 64 to 88% of LB boys will attend college or plan to attend college. Okay, so here's a different, these kind of go together. Sample of 40 LB girls, 80% of them plan to attend college. So 80% of 40 would be 32, right? So for girls, we had 32 out of 40, which is 80% saying that they want to go to college. We're asked to construct a 95% confidence interval to see what the difference is between the two proportions. So now we have a two proportion Z. Okay, and I'm going to put the boys' data in my calculator first. Let's go this way. So 38 out of 50 was the boys, and 32 out of 40 is the girls, and we're still doing 95%. All right, we get a negative and a positive. So negative 0.21 to positive 0.13. Clear interpretation. This is probably the hardest part, but you can do it. Study it over. So 95% confident. Remember, we're talking about proportions, not mean. So true proportion of, and start with the variable you put in your calculator first. Boys, I should say LB. LB boys going to college is 21%, and since it's negative, lower to 13% higher than LB girls. So make sure you remember to use true proportion. Make sure if it's a negative then a positive, you say lower, and then you say higher, and then your second group. Hope that helps. Okay, so you can read number 9. I've gone ahead and entered the weights of the dogs in list 1 and the cats in list 2. So if you guys can tell here, we're not given the true standard deviation. It's not been given to us. And we definitely have two groups. We're talking about means. It's not proportions like the last two problems. So that if you look at your pink sheet, that only leaves us with two sample T interval. And I'm just going to go right there on my calculator. So I already have the data entered in my calculator. So stat test and number 0. And I'm going to tell it data, and I'm going to say, hey, use my list 1 and list 2. Leave your frequencies 1. Okay, this time we're asked to do 90%. Pull no and calculate. Okay, since these numbers are so far apart, I'm just going to round these to whole numbers. So 12 and 37. And remember, our unit is pounds. So to describe this in context, this is kind of nice because they're both positive. So when we start a sentence, we're going to start with dogs because that's what we put in first. And we're going to talk about the true mean. So we are 90% confident the true mean weight of dogs is, and these are both positive, so I'm going to say 12 to 37 pounds more, can't see that, there you go, than true mean of cats.